like it took a really long time for them to get there, but admitted Gordon Hayward, the cross-country plane flight, seemed to have done them some good. Well, I'm not laughing at that remark anymore because it seems to be very true. And now you got the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, as a matter of fact, and it's like, okay, they're kind of doing the same thing where they're putting their feet into the ground. Joel Embiid is back, and it's like, okay, it's a tough spot for the Sacramento Kings to be in, but these are two teams that are looking at the Kings like, hey, this is a good team, this is a good test for us, but we've got to win these games because we've got to get ourselves ready for the second season.
Right, and I think that at this point, too, what the Kings had is a great win against the Sixers the last time, but
different time.
Yeah, Redick didn't play. Tobias Harris wasn't on the roster. Now, Willie was really good against Embiid that night, but you're right. It is a different time, and now you're in Philly, and it is the second night of a back-to-back, and it is Philly trying to ramp up for the postseason. Yeah, I think tonight's a really, really difficult matchup for the Kings.
So we'll continue to talk about the Sacramento Kings. Just looking up here, Jason's New York Yankees are up 13-0.
Oh, on the Red Sox, huh?
How about that? Yeah. More importantly, Bryce Harper took a shot to the ankle. Hit pitch. He was hit by a pitch just right in the ankle. Left the game, exits the game. He's walking pretty gingerly. Okay. I can't. Sometimes I look at baseball. Sometimes I look at pitchers like, did he just throw at him? Like, did he just? But I don't know, because if he didn't, he missed that pitch badly. But yeah, Bryce Harper left today's game after taking a pitch to the ankle. So there's some really baseball updates for you. I'm sorry I didn't do it in the old.
The old voice. Yeah, we'll get that going someday.
Well, there's only 13,000 more games to go. So.
That's it.
Especially between those two.
Only 13,000. Oh yes, this is the first of 4,000 matchups between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Is there a mercy rule in spring training? Like, hey guys, it's
might as well.
13-0.
Yeah, call it off.
Just play a doubleheader.
Yeah, it's over.
Just start over completely. We've got championship games on in front of us, or at least it's championship week, not necessarily championship games. The NCAA tournament is coming up. You excited? Are you there yet to the point for like are you ready for Selection Sunday? Or?
I think it's the first time I fill out a bracket. I think that's when it happens. Okay. I mean, Sunday's the day to wait and see who's placed where, what seeds, all that. But it feels like every year I watch less and less college basketball. Got caught up a little bit in the Zion hype this year, but besides that, it's I know there was great upsets recently with some of the conference tournaments, specifically St. Mary's beating Gonzaga. But yeah, I love March Madness. Love the tournament. Love that first 2 days, maybe the first 4 days the most.
I think this is the most college basketball I've watched in a few years because I've watched probably a dozen Duke games, and I tuned into Tennessee a number of times because I was confused. Like, why are they here? Like,
what are they doing? Like, one time number one?
Yeah, how did they get up here? Other than that, but this is the time of year where we all cram for the same test. Like, no one's been studying all year long, but we start cramming in the final days. And I think Monday, when we come back Monday, we should do the overused terms. I think we've thrown out a few already.
Yeah.
Tournament tested is a good one that you're going to hear 1,000 times on Sunday. And TNT will be, or it won't. Is it TNT where it air or CBS? But Charles will be on it, and all of the TNT guys will be on it.
CBS, TBS, all of those.
Yeah, those guys will be on it, and you can tell when they don't know what the hell's going on because they'll use just totally recycled terms over and over again that are generic and can apply to anybody.
It's funny. Turner has 15, 16 different channels for March Madness, but only one for Champions League. Funny how that works.
That is funny.
You sound upset.
A little bit. They're not having Bleacher Report charge you $3 a game, so.
Is Bleacher Report charging $3 a game?
For Champions League.
Oh, for Champions League. Well, at least you can watch it. $3.
I'm not bitter.
Doesn't sound like it.
Not at all.
Does not sound like it. One single bit. So we'll spend some time talking about, I don't know necessarily about Selection Sunday. We're not going to tell you what teams are on the bubble or the first four in or the last four out or whatever the case may be. I love when we argue about, I can't believe so-and-so got left out. Like, you realize you're talking about like the 70th best team in the country. Like, you're really upset because the 70th best team in the country isn't going to have a chance to get annihilated by Duke or
right.
And then you can use the University of Maryland, Baltimore County line if you want to, but
To be fair, they're mad that the 56th best team in the country isn't going because the 89th best team won their way in.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yes, that's a fair point, Christopher. A fair point. As we mentioned, Zion Williamson returned last night. We'll talk about that later on in this hour. We'll talk the couple of other games last night. Great win for the Pacers. They really needed that one. They were down 18. It looked like Oklahoma City was rolling, and then not so fast. Pacers get the win there against Oklahoma City. We'll touch on that. Load management for LeBron James tonight.
Yeah, he's out against Detroit, so we'll see how they cope with that, but I don't think anybody's...
I don't think it matters how they cope with it, whether he's load managing or not.
Yeah.
They stink.
Yeah.
The Lakers are terrible. What a huge... Where are we right now with their wins? Because I think one of our questions, I don't remember if it was Overreaction Monday. I don't remember what it was, but I remember the question being, will the Lakers, or something along the lines of, will the Lakers win as many games as they did last year? And last year the number was 35, and most of us were impressed with the direction of that young Lakers team. They're at 31 right now. They're 31-37.
And it's not,
and they're losing guys by the day,
and resting guys now, and on this road trip on a back-to-back. And who passed? I know Minnesota passed them, so New Orleans is next. They just keep.
Andre Ingram's back.
I know.
Just as gray can be. Oh,
what's so funny? I just had to.
Oh man!
To scratch my face.
So the one thing that I can't do yet without issues is laugh. Once I start laughing, I start coughing. Jason, I gotta take a picture of that and send it to someone. Jason is wearing his 2005 WNBA championship ring. If you want to see what this bad boy looks like,
I don't know if you'll see it in the picture.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if our cameras can pick this up. But head over to the live stream over on KHTK.com, and hopefully you can.
I mean, come on.
You can, yeah, that's pretty serious.
I can't even bend my hand cleanly.
That's pretty serious. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, I like it.
Wow.
That is good stuff right there. Head over to KHTK.com. Check out the LoDown Live. Jason Ross rocking the 2015 WNBA championship ring.
That is, I gotta say, almost as nice as my fantasy football championship ring.
Almost. Yeah.
Who bought your fantasy football championship ring?
The champion.
The champion bought it?
Yeah.
Aren't you the champion?
So, I'm the owner of my league. I bought it for me. Robert Kraft buys his rings, right?
Yeah. So you bought your own championship ring.
Who else is going to buy it?
I don't know. Jason, did you buy your championship ring?
I did not.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, anyone out there that wants to buy me a championship ring, call KHTK and sponsor the Champions Ring.
916-923-6800.
Yes.
Call Brandon right now. Has he said anything yet? Is he pissed off at us
I meant
yet?
to ask him about that.
We forgot to put our sign up, by the way.
Yeah.
We need our,
our
sponsor
signage.
the champ and Cody signs and sponsor the LoDown sign, sponsor the LoDown Live. Just call Brandon right now, 916-923-6800. I just said it.
Yeah, and you got it again.
Yeah, so
to be fair, he's mad at us, but I don't know if it's because of calls.
I'm truthfully just going to – I really want you guys to just bother the hell out of him until he does something. Because every other approach we've taken hasn't worked. So we're just going to try this one. Like, our audience is going to flood your office until you do something with your station's most popular show. I hope everybody I know most people are listening on the radio, and I understand that. We're talking to a smaller audience that's watching on KHTK.com, and we love you no matter how you're listening or watching this show. But if you're not watching on KHTK.com, follow us on social media and check out the piece of video that Matt George put together for us to air as our open for the live streams every Friday. Really, really good stuff. Matt, as much flack as we give him, kid's really good when it comes to, I'm sorry to call him a kid, he's a married man now, which still is stunning. You give him a little bit of direction, like, hey, Matt, here was an idea I had. What do you think about it? You think you could do something with it? Oh, yeah, I got an idea. And he put this whole basic intro together to the theme of The Office. And it's fantastic because obviously that's, a show that we talk about so much here. It's a show within the show. And it was a brilliant piece of video that started our live stream today on KH2K.com.
Yeah, we've already received several mentions on that on our text line, which is great. So people enjoyed that. That was real. He did a great job with that.
Keep those texts coming. The Jiffy Lube text line at 441140. You can also get us on the Fire Wings hotline. Try one of their.
Uh-oh.
It's coming. Wait.
One of their delicious wings today. 21 flavors.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be able to get it all out yesterday, and I wasn't. I'm so sorry.
Glad you're back, though.
I am back.
Yeah.
Wednesday sucks so bad, and I know you don't hear it the way that I hear it, but I knew Wednesday's show was so bad, and I knew it was because of me, and I was like dying in here, and it threw Cody off, who couldn't say Aaron Rodgers without thinking of Aaron Judge, and she couldn't get Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. straight, and I knew like I was weighing the show down, like I was the weakest link, and it was like I don't like taking days off, but I finally texted you that night, like, man, I think I need a breather.
Yeah. Well, it worked, and now you're back and ready to roll.
And now you sound like hell.
Oh, hey, why?
It's in your nose.
Is it?
Yeah. Me, it's
Where?
in my.
Is it here? Is so much here?
It's in my chest. It's in your nose. Yeah. Maybe if you get that championship ring out of the way.
Yeah. Gosh.
339-1140.
Why don't you wear it? Because I can't.
Yeah. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. What's up, Greg?
What's up, guys? Coach Yeager, he's got a one year left on his contract?
Correct.
So I remember you alluded to this, Jason. I think you said it like a week ago. You said he's not going to go in his offseason with that 1 year left. So do you think that he ultimately wants to – are they going to get rid of him, or you think they're going to just reconstruct it?
Well, and that's my thought, Damien, that most coaches would not accept going into the final year. So I think there needs to be commitment on the organization side, but also commitment on Dave Yeager's side. So if they can find that happy medium of a multi-year deal, I think he'll be the coach. But that's a big negotiation, and I don't know if the stuff, and I'll say the stuff that's gone on behind the scenes, whether that's Brandon Williams, other front office stuff, I don't know that that's totally been cleared up. That could be a factor. Also, this year's performance could be a factor. Does a coach want to stay? I mean, I think there's a lot of things still going on, but I think they could ultimately get there, but that's big negotiations that still have to happen.
Yeah, Greg.
In your opinion,
go ahead, Greg. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. In you guys' opinion, I'll take it off air. You guys think Yeager's the coach next season?
I'm sitting on the. I'm not confident. I haven't wanted to say that like during that stretch. I feel like if they were going to do it, like why hasn't it been done?
Right.
Like because I don't want to do it during the year. You're not like your agent. It's not like Vlade's talking to Dave Yeager between practices like, okay, man, we've got to work this contract extension out. No, the money people are talking to Dave's money people. I feel like if it was going to get done, it'd be done by now. My gut feeling is he's either not the coach next year or he doesn't get an extension and he's forced to prove himself again.
Wow,
which I don't feel like
year.
that's that lame duck thing is good for no one. But I'll go back to what we said last week. The biggest issue surrounding the Sacramento Kings season it has not ever been publicly resolved. Mm-hmm. And because it took place publicly, it should have been resolved publicly. So that leads me to believe it was never done.
And I think that's, again, some sort of contributing factor to this. Does Dave Yeager want to be here? Based on the way this team has improved, I think he has warranted getting that extension. Most teams would have done this already. There's something hanging this up, and that could be mutual. I mean, Coach Yeager has looked at other locations. We've known that he's been interested in Minnesota in the past. I'm going to think it's a pretty safe guess to say that job's going to be open. They have an interim right now in Ryan Saunders. Yeah. I think he's done okay. I don't know that that's the permanent answer. So is he looking there? Is he going to ultimately get the deal that he wants here? But we're all in a wait and see mode.
Or whether he's looking there or they're looking at him. Mm-hmm. Because if he is auditioning for somebody else, so to speak, because he hasn't gotten a contract extension, what better team to be auditioning for than Minnesota when you look at, well, they got a young team. They have their most dominant player is a big man,
right?
In Carlin, but he's really, really good and significantly, he is very versatile. So I mean, that's a hell of a team to be auditioning for.
Yeah.
And certainly a lottery pick.
And it also goes to the question we ask on any of these things. So if the Kings are ultimately looking to move on from him, then who?
Yeah. I don't have an answer because I don't know.
We could do all the rumors, but yeah, what legitimately would the organization be looking at?
But what's the rumor? Like, I don't even think there are rumors surrounding the Kings.
I think people have mentioned, again, I don't even know if it's a rumor, but I think it's safe to say that Luke Walton might be out. Would that be the answer? Who else would be? You just start to look around the league and who would be options that this team would do, and what's best. Dave Yeager, I think, has done a good job. I see every night people like, oh, get rid of Yeager. Well, coaches can never please fans 100% of the time. I think this team, to some extent, he's changed the way they play. Mm-hmm. And I think it best suits this roster. And I think they've had a really good season. But if the goal for the masses was the playoffs, I don't think they're going to get there. But I don't think that was a realistic goal before the season started.
Luke Walton is a guy who feels like if this were to take place, and remember, Greg just asked our opinion on this. If this were to take place, Luke Walton is a guy who could step in and the team play almost identical to what they did last year. Is that fair?
The Kings would play like the Lakers did last year?
No. The Kings could play like the Kings played this year under Luke Walton.
Oh, yes, correct. Yeah, based on the way they played a year ago, kind of that up-tempo. Yeah,
right.
I gotcha. Mm-hmm.
339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Let's go to David. David, we appreciate you, man. What's going on?
No, I appreciate you. Thank you. Just real quick, I would really hate to see Yeager go because I feel like that would set the Kings back another year because they're finally getting that cohesive player-to-player relationship, and they have a good cohesive player-to-coach relationship, and that's one more moving piece that you really don't want when you're trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, completely understand, completely agree. David, we appreciate you, but there will be also people who say, okay, well, we've got to take that next step, and there'll be people that use, I think you said this before,
right,
the Doug Collins to Phil Jackson thing, or the
Mark Jackson to Kerr.
Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, the absolute most extreme examples, imaginable.
Well, there's something about continuity,
people
too.
wanted the next step with Rick Adelman, too.
Right.
Remember, Rick Adelman to Eric Musselman. That was supposed to be the next step.
It didn't work. Didn't work that way. So, and then they've been chasing that next step for a decade
since
plus.
then, yes.
So,
and firing Yeager would be chasing it again, by the way.
And I think there will be a lot of player return. I don't think there's going to be a bunch of player turnover. So continuity, I think, is going to be good for this team. Coach continuity is important, too. And that's not just head coach. And the coaching staff, players are pretty familiar with them, pretty comfortable with them, and I think the players are all bought in. I mean, again, every time they lose a game, we'll get calls, we'll get texts on, Yeager should have done this, Yeager should have done that. No one's suggesting he's the perfect coach, but I think he has done a really good job with the roster he's been handed, kind of changed the way he's coached with DeMarcus here to the way they are now, and it does feel like they're better and growing. But, again, I think it's a two-way street here. He's got to kind of show a commitment to want to stay, and so does the organization to want to keep him.
Kings are 3-7 since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means. I just noticed it and thought I'd say it out loud.
Well, it was interesting. They showed the stat last night that since Marvin returned, they went 2-3 without him. Mm-hmm. That's not killer, but they were 2 games out when he left. They were 4.5 when he returned. Mm-hmm. So it shows also what the rest of the competition has done. I mean, that record could be, what you said, 5-5, 6-4. They're still a couple games out. I mean, they wouldn't be catching people. They had to have been 7-3, 8-2. It's just the way the bottom part of the West has been lately.
More of your phone calls at 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. We could talk more about the Sacramento Kings. We'll talk about some of the other notes. In the NBA last night, we're on 1140 a.m. in Northern California, the KHTK app, and we are live. It's the LoDown live on KHTK.com.
Pepsi Center crowd is freaking loud, man. Holy cow, what a win. They are absolutely bugging Nikola Jokic underneath the bucket. Oh, you might as well go ahead and bring them MVP chance to Denver, baby. Right at the horn. Man, I'm going to pass out. I'm not going to lie. Everybody, yo.
They're freaking loud, man.
Wow.
That was a great call right there from the Denver Nuggets radio network. Nikolai Jokic with the game winner over the Dallas. I thought that was, when I saw that as the second game of the TNT, I was like, that's a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend like I sat and watched 48 minutes of it, but I did happen to catch that final sequence there, which was a a nice little treat and a good win for the Denver Nuggets. Much like the Boston Celtics, much like the Philadelphia 76ers were tonight, they're trying to just kind of – well, actually, unlike those other two teams, Denver has a very realistic shot at the number one seed in the conference.
Yeah, they were rooting for the Rockets the other day to beat the Warriors so they can get a little closer. They still play the Warriors one more time. But even the call there, that is significant because Denver is a Broncos town, then a Broncos town, then probably a Broncos.
Yep.
And then maybe somewhere
the Broncos,
yep. Maybe Rockies, Avalanche, Nuggets. Kind of, it's just and they're having an amazing season, but everything is about the Broncos.
Bruh.
And Joe Flacco.
Dude, did you see what Elway said yesterday? Come on, man.
I'm
get your boy.
That's too easy for you. I can't even defend that one.
Joe Flacco.
Did he say entering his prime?
Yes.
The best is yet to come.
Whose man is this? Why do you keep letting this dude make decisions for you, Denver?
I feel bad enough defending Flacco over Keenum, but I will not go that far.
But you know what? If Joe Flacco hasn't entered his prime yet, God bless it, then that explains everything.
Yeah.
That explains everything.
Is it weird when I first read that? I'm like, okay, this is one of those fake ESPN like type of things, like a joke and everything. And I kept reading it and like, oh my God.
Nope. He really said this. This is a glimpse into the mind of John Elway. Think about that. And he's still employed today. Was he drug tested?
Oh, good point.
The NFL should have been like, you know what? We're going to set a new precedent now for drug testing front office people.
Let's get on this stat.
John, we're going to need to see you over here.
Yes.
You're going to need to pee in about 7 cups because something about what you said doesn't add up at all. 339-1140, 1-800.
That's a lot of cups.
That's a lot. You better fill them, too, because we've got some suspicions. Oh, but it's legal in Denver.
Well, still.
It explains a lot.
Yeah.
It explains a whole lot. Jay, what's happening, man?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I was listening in earlier about Dave Yeager. I think if you look at Dave Yeager's history in the league and the success he's had with less talented teams and what he's done with this team in terms of developing guys like Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox, I think the Kings would regret letting him go. I don't understand what's going on between him and management. To your point, maybe he is looking at the Minnesota job, but when I look at that Minnesota roster, I don't know about you guys. I mean, obviously, who wouldn't love to coach a guy like Towns? But I wouldn't take the Timberwolves roster over the Kings roster. So I'm wondering, is it more than that? Is there something else going on in terms of there's some friction there between Kings management and Yeager? I just think it would be a big mistake, man. I don't understand why they would let that guy go. We've had issues with continuity in this town for years, and this guy's been here the last, 3 or 4 years now, and I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, in short, Jay, it feels like it.
Yeah.
It feels like there is
something there.
Something.
Without knowing. And plus, Vlade hasn't been extended. I mean, you got to worry about that. You got to extend Yeager or new deal, coaching staff. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here that – it feels like everything is going in the right direction, but that's a big thing that has not been addressed or handled yet or whatever.
Can you imagine the narrative in the media if they let this guy go? I mean, from game to game, you can call out a coach for specific plays or moves that they did or didn't make, and that's sports. But overall, you look at the big picture. I can't imagine another coach doing any better than what he's done. I just don't get it. And he's young. He seems to relate to the players. I just think it would be a big, big mistake and fall back into – I almost wonder if it would fall back into the whole Ronadive, meddling and, who's making the decisions here. And that secondary, the most important thing obviously is continually to grow this team and to get better. And, man, they're on an upward trend here, man. I just think it's a big mistake if they get rid of this guy or they don't re-sign him.
Thanks, Jay. We appreciate you, man. Have a fantastic weekend. Jay said something there. Even with the Kings, they're one game below 500 now. They're 33-34. All measurables are going to point to a successful season for this team. I'm still left wondering who runs the team. Mm-hmm. You can tell me it's Vlade, and on a certain day I might believe you. But to me, if it was absolutely 100% Vlade Divac who was running the team, how come this Brandon Williams situation wasn't addressed? And if it was, why wasn't it addressed publicly? Because it played out publicly, and everybody made sure that it did, starting with Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams was the one who made sure that this played out publicly. Dave Yeager followed suit a few days later. Why was there no resolution to this? And who is making the decisions for the team?
Right. I think. Yeah.
And after this performance, why hasn't Dave Yeager been extended?
Well, and the other thing I wonder about, I know our caller, and I think it's a fair question to bring up. I don't know that they would get as ripped. The Kings have been ripped plenty for years, and deservedly so. I think they're getting more credibility, more leeway from what they're doing, more positive mention nationally for those that care about that. But I think if they were to remove Dave Yeager, I think it all depends on who they hired. Like, if that was considered a positive hire, I don't think they get crushed for that. I don't think. Now, there'll be some people that are in Dave Yeager's camp. I mean, I think he's done a terrific job. But if you think about coaching, how many times has a coach of the year been fired? That happens. It's weird. Dwayne Casey.
But I think it would look stranger.
As the build. I mean,
right. As it looks like a team who was as recently as 12 months ago in the gutter.
Right.
And has ascended so quickly out of it.
Right.
No, they're not going to the playoffs. No, they're not going to compete for a championship. But they were pegged, depending on what expert you were listening to, 24, 25, 26, 27 wins. They're at 33. They really have a legitimate chance to finish around 40, 41 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough call right there. That's I don't know if I'm a national media host and I'm watching Igor Kokoskov pull the Phoenix Suns out of the ashes next year to where they're winning somewhere in the teens this year or low 20s, and next year they're winning 42 or 41 games or 40 games, and me being removed from it, and they decided, well, we're going to fire Igor Kokoskov and hire Ryan Saunders.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just, even from an outsider's perspective, it looks weird.
It does. I just think it would all depend on how it landed. Does it mean that, does Yeager go and sign with Minnesota right away? Okay, there was something there. He was coveted. He didn't want to stay. I mean, I think it could be framed that way. It depends on who the Kings would hire if they replace him. But also, there's other guys. Why didn't that team keep that player? Well, they didn't want to invest further on. So, I mean, if you're keeping Yeager, the one suggestion you said, I just can't imagine Dave Yeager coaching next year in the final year. I think something's going to be resolved this summer. Now, again, that's my gut telling me that, but
something resolved as in he's gone, or something resolved as in he's extended.
Yes, like one of the two. Like I just can't imagine that other scenario you brought up, that he's coaching next year on a final year. Again,
I don't think he's getting extended this offseason.
Okay, then
because if he was, why hasn't he been extended already?
Good question, and I don't know if they'll come
you
up
could have
with a
taken
great
care
answer
of
to that.
You could have taken care of that during the All-Star break
at any point.
And I mean, I don't know that maybe Dave doesn't want it.
That's the other part. I mean, I honestly wonder. I really do, because most coaches, most players, we always talk about that. Man, why wouldn't they just take that final year at $24 million or whatever? Harrison Barnes, for example. Yeah. Oh, he'll rip up that deal to get a new 4-year, $80 million deal. He'll make less, but he's got the longevity. Most coaches would do the same thing. The fact that this hasn't, one that we know have been presented or been accepted, is surprising.
We had that play of the day, Nikolai Jokic buzzer beater against the Dallas Mavericks that pulled the Denver Nuggets. They're 45-22. They're one game behind the Golden State Warriors for the top of the Western Conference, the top seed in the Western Conference. Play of the day is brought to you by nobody. If you'd like to sponsor the play of the day, call Brandon right now, 916-923-6800, and tell him to do something constructive. Sean, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? I just want to chime in on this Dave Yeager talk. The success of the Kings, I think, has more to do with the front office than the coaching staff, in particular, Dave Yeager. I'm not a big Yeager fan. I wouldn't be upset if he took that. I'm kind of hoping he takes that Minnesota job. And the guy I personally would want to replace him would be Luke Walton. I'll get into that's something completely different. But I mean, we're like on game 70, and he still doesn't have a rotation. He still fluctuates minutes for Buddy Hield for some reason that still doesn't make sense. And I thought like 10 to 15 games ago, all fans were under the assumption that, hey, we're going to start ramping up minutes for De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, for this stretch drive to try to make the playoffs. And if anything, I don't think their minutes per game has changed that much. So it's kind of frustrating with his habit. He's pretty. He sticks to his guns, and I don't really see him changing that much. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I wouldn't be upset if he leaves and we replace him with someone else.
All right, Sean, we appreciate you, man. Thank you, as always, for the call. We'll address that. We'll get to the rest of these calls. We see a number of you are there, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can listen along here at 1140 a.m. in Northern California on the KHDK app in your app store, whatever smartphone you have. And you can watch us. You can even watch us from your smartphone. Head over to KHDK.com. It's the LoDown Live. We're coming back with more of your phone calls. And Zion Williamson returns in a massive way. Does this reaffirm Zion Williamson is the best player in college basketball?
If you also want to look us up on Facebook, search the LoDown. Damian and Jason, back to you.
Deuce and Mo set to join us at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. Make sure you're with us. Better yet, make sure you are watching along. Head over to KHDK.com and check out the LoDown Live. Hey, where's your hardware? You can't rock that for 3 hours?
It's heavy.
All right.
Yeah.
Jason's brought the
nice carrying case.
Goods, his 2005 WNBA championship ring, which puts many Super Bowl rings to that. Oh, boy, there you go. We're going to rock it like that. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. So excited for Deuce and Mo to join us at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. For our mailbag, forgot to mention two things. One, we've got tickets to see Rascal Flatts. Their summer playlist tour is going to be at the Toyota Amphitheater on July 26th. We're going to give those to you right at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. More incentive to be with us all day long as if you needed more. And two, we got a short show today. Even on the live stream, we're a bit abbreviated. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers today, Kings basketball, 4 o'clock, which means you got to be back here for Kings Live at 3:30, which means we got to get out of here at 2:30 because we got Kings Gang Night coming up and we've got to get out of the way.
Yes.
So short show today, but it'll be a lot of fun. As I mentioned, Deuce and Mo will be with us when we do our weekly mailbag segment coming up at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. We'll get into some NFL news coming up at 1 o'clock as well. Kareem Hunt, the suspension is in with him. Ryan Tannehill's headed off to the Tennessee Titans for whatever reason. In The Ringer, they did an interesting article about NFL contracts. It's kind of an interesting examination of NFL contracts since 2011, when the latest collective bargaining agreement was signed. So we'll get to that. Lots of conversation this morning about the Sacramento Kings and about head coach Dave Yeager. If you want to get in here, you can. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Joe, lead us off here. What's going on, buddy?
Well, I'm just a little confused here because I listen to Grant Napier, and callers call in and they want to talk about the upcoming free agency in this offseason. And he's like, hey, we got this season to worry about. And now you got all these callers wanting to fire Dave Yeager and hire Luke Walton. If Luke Walton was so great, why doesn't he want to be with the greatest player in the world? I mean, he's got LeBron James, and look how bad they're sucking. Is this really who you want to be in Sacramento? Yeah, he was the assistant coach for the Warriors. I could coach the Warriors. I'm a Sacramento fan supporter. I'm not going to say I'm a fan, but all these people whining about Yeager needs to go. Yeah, and then what? You hire another coach, you get the DUI, another one you fire, goes on to another team and does well. I mean, this is why you're Sacramento and been stuck in the same position for years. Let's talk about tonight's game, the improvement. Oh, by the way, how old is Bagley? How old is Fox? Why would you want to increase their minutes of a 20-year-old? I mean, be happy with where you're at. Look to move forward. Quit worrying about 2 years. Who knows if half those players will even be there. Root for your team. Support the team. Quit complaining about what you don't have.
I always love the guy who tells other people how to be fans. Joe, just a quick note, you can't coach the Golden State Warriors.
Nope.
Sorry. No matter how much.
He said he could, though.
No, he couldn't.
He can't?
And no matter how much you think you can coach the Golden State Warriors because they're loaded with talent, you cannot. Yeah. I promise you that. You cannot. Steve Kerr, remember LeBron said, no, it wasn't LeBron. It was, I think it was Ty Lue, said he had the most difficult job in the NBA. Does anybody doubt him now? Coaching LeBron James is the most difficult job in the NBA. And I know that's not coaching the Warriors, but I'm going to his reference there about Luke Walton. Luke Walton does want to coach the Lakers. It's LeBron that doesn't want Luke Walton to coach him.
Yeah.
And so that's going to manifest itself in, I don't know, about 2.5 weeks.
Look at the story you were talking about the other day with Magic Johnson go against the coaches for moves.
Yeah.
Where was that coming from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. No question where that was coming from.
By the way, I think it was 2 callers ago right before the break asked about minutes and why I thought Yeager was going to play Fox and he yield more minutes. January, Fox averaged 30 minutes a game. Buddy was at 32. February for Fox, he's at 32.4. March, he's at 35. So he has gone up almost 5 full minutes. And then Buddy's gone from 32.2 to 33.3 to 35.5. So he's gone up about 3.5 minutes.
Don't tell other people how to be fans either. Yeah. People want to bitch and complain. Let them bitch and complain. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's part of being a fan.
Then you complain about them.
Yeah, there you go. Dan, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Just want to ask real quick. It's just kind of a simple question. If the Kings continue to lose out, if they lose a lot of games, like most of their games, maybe 8, 9 games, does the whole narrative of the season being a success change at all? You think?
That's a good question.
That is.
That's a great question.
That.
Yeah, and I feel like the answer would be yes, because you remember the last thing that you see.
Right.
And the last thing you see isn't always as good, and it's not always as bad as what it was. So that I think that's a great question, and I think the answer is yes. If they lose a big chunk of their remaining games, I think it shifts the narrative of the season.
I think I even remember hearing a call, maybe it was with Grant and Doug, probably like 2 weeks ago, and someone said, look at how many games they've won. If they lost the rest of the games, it would still be a success. I went, if they lost their last 20, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the last thing we remember, 20 straight losses. That would be terrible. Now it would be less, but still, no, that wouldn't be successful at all.
Yeah, we appreciate the call. Thanks. Let's get Will in here as we wrap up the first hour of the LoDown Live. Will, what's going on, baby?
Hey, guys. So I got to tell you, you got to work on your drafting your first pick out of the break there. That was a little rough.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well,
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's like, everybody's got their opinions. That's fine. Here's the thing. I'm looking at it more like I'm more looking at a business sense. They got, as far as with Yeager, they've got him under contract still through next year. They've got a team that's up and coming. You got, if you really look objectively, take it away from being a Kings fan, they've won this season on the backs of a lot of young talent, and young talent is showing through. That's how I can say I think we actually have a more talented young team than a lot of these teams like Minnesota that may have an all-star, but they got a whole lot of scrubs on the roster, or guys like Wiggins who just aren't coming up to what they were picked as. We have talent, and talent is winning ball games. But now what you're seeing in the last, 10, 12 games against real superior playoff veteran teams, now you're seeing where coaching makes a difference. And now where I'm watching things and going, as a ball player, as a coach, not a pro one, but just as having done it for 40 years, I'm looking and going, there's coaching errors here that could be done better, and I don't know that they're not keeping their options open to say, hey, if after next season we're on the cusp, and there's a Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr kind of jump. A guy comes out there who wants to grab this young, talented team and take them on to the promised land. They need to keep that window of opportunity open, too, for the team's business sense.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys think about that. But.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, Will. We appreciate the call, man. Have a fantastic week. And the only thing I will say about that is you want to keep your options open. I get that. But you got to be prepared for the response of the guy whose option you're keeping open as well. You got to be prepared for what Dave Yeager's response is to that. Because if you are keeping your options open for a player a coach who you might think take you to the promised land, Will, as you said there, then you have to be prepared for Dave Yeager to go, oh, okay, cool. I'm good. I'll go on somewhere else when this is all over.
Mm-hmm.
You can fire me now. I'm not re-signing. You could fire me right now. Or not, I'll just coach out the rest of the season, which the Kings probably wouldn't want him to do there in that situation anyways. He'd be fired, and then he can go coach where he wants to.
Right.
Assuming, of course, that he gets another job.
Yeah, a lot of layers to this.
That'd be his third job, by the way. I think that's one thing that we're forgetting. If Dave Yeager is fired or Dave Yeager is let go or Dave Yeager wants out or whatever, it'll be his third job. And a lot of people think, whether there's any truth to it, and I don't know that there is, that there's some googly eyes for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the second time that he's wanted to leave the organization that he was with.
Right.
Like the circumstances for him coming to Sacramento are always going to be weird. We don't talk about him, but they're weird. Like he was the coach of the Grizzlies.
Right.
And then he wasn't. And then suddenly he was the coach here, like all within the span of
I can't remember the
hours.
timeline. It wasn't very long.
It wasn't. Like it was long enough to where you knew, oh, okay, this had been worked out.
Yeah.
This had been dealt with. We'll step out. We'll come back. Hour number 2 is coming up. We've got to talk about the NFL. We got to talk about Zion Williamson. The suspension for Kareem Hunt is in. We've got quarterbacks on the move. What does this all mean? We got Deuce and Mo coming up at 2 o'clock. We are on the live stream over at KHDK.com, and we're back with more next.